up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Trust Your Board podcast. My name is Stephen Wright, joined by Mr. William Monroe. How you doing, Will?
Doing well, Steve. We are here and getting toward the end of June here. Mock season heating up. It's kind of like a lull in news, really, for fantasy, with most teams wrapping up their mini camps and still, a couple weeks away from training camp. So it's kind of that dog days of summer almost from a fantasy perspective.
Yeah, it's that time of year every year where things calm down. You have your handful of veterans that you're waiting to sign somewhere, being, Dalvin Cook, Zeke, Fournette, Hopkins, blah, blah. Yeah, it's kind of a quiet time of the year. You get your hype pieces. I saw today that Sam Darnold could be this quarterback 2 for the 49ers, not Trey Lance.
Yeah, I mean, as a Niners fan, what's that mean to you? How do you feel about that?
Bad. Like, I don't care because it seems like Purdy's the guy.
Yeah.
We gave up, a lot to get Lance, and then he's gonna be nothing. But it also looks like that we're gonna get away with that because we're still just stacked with the team.
Got a good quarterback.
Yeah. So it seems like it's going to work out in the end, but to think we could have had, I forget what we gave up, 2 first-round picks. We have 2 more first-round, capital guys on the team, and it's a shame to think about. But, Purdy's the guy, all good.
Yeah, I think, that's the case. I think I'd be curious to see if they do roll him and then they do roll with Darnold as the 2. Can they try to make a trade with Lance and what could they get back? Obviously, probably not going to get what you gave up to move up to get him. But
Schefter said there is no trade market for him.
Really? I mean, maybe I guess if an injury comes up or something, that's probably what you got to hope for. But usually that's not the case with quarterbacks. But maybe a contending team has a big injury and wants more than just their backup as an option.
Yeah, the issue with him is the offense has to be built around him, right? And maybe that's part of the Darnold thing. If Purdy goes down, it's easier for Darnold to step in than Lance because you need to run a different offense, right?
Yeah, you'd think that Purdy and Lance and Purdy and Darnold probably have similar offense that they can run compared to what you're going to run with Trey Lance.
Yeah, if Aaron Rodgers goes down and the Jets are whatever 10-2, you can't trade for Lance and plug him in. That doesn't maybe Jalen Hurts, maybe Anthony Richardson, someone like that. Maybe even that's a stretch because his passing so suspect. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we will. But no trades seem to be happening today. But we do have a draft on tap, don't we?
Yes, we do. We have a 10-team PPR. Me and you have been pounding 10-team mocks for your Dynasty League. So we're accustomed to the 10-team. Now this is a regular redraft, not a Dynasty, so a little bit different in that regard, but should be fun nonetheless. You, my friend, are drafting out of the 1 spot. Congratulations. I got the 6, so a little bit more manageable, nice and cozy in the middle. You got the long waits. See how that works out for you.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. I feel like it's there's a couple of options at the top, and depending on what is available at the second, third turn, it looks like it could go either way. So it's not like it's pretty clear cut. So we'll have to think through this one.
Awesome. You ready to get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Perfect. Well, you were on the clock, so get thinking.
Yeah, so number 1 pick. I think McCaffrey's probably the logical first option, just given running back position, typically isn't as deep as receivers. But we have seen in mocks this year, and it could just be a reaction to last year, that receivers are going a little bit more hot and heavy. Running backs are falling a little more, which could lend to a Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase type of pick here, and they are still pretty close for me. I think maybe closer in Dynasty than redraft. Jefferson would be the pick of the 2 for me if I was going with those 2. So It comes down to Justin Jefferson or Christian McCaffrey for me. And I feel like most of the time I would go Christian McCaffrey here. Push comes to shove, I'm going to take the stud running back. But given that I think there is going to be some interesting running back options available, as well as some wide receiver options available, I kind of want to see what happens if I go Justin Jefferson. So I'm going to take Justin Jefferson first here. After him, Christian McCaffrey, Travis Kelce, Austin Eckler, Jamar Chase just before you there at 6.
Yeah, what a shame. What a shame. This is a pretty good spot to be in. Like, you got so many good options here at the 6. I mean, part of that's because of the tight end. I don't want to call it a reach because, Kelsey's good wherever, but you tend not to see them go at the 3rd pick, right? I'm curious on your opinion on Bijan versus Jonathan Taylor. Because I've become quite worried about Taylor and, Anthony Richardson and just the whole offense being worse because you got a rushing quarterback, and Bijan on the flip side, just, the team might be bad, but he's just going to get so much volume. It's going to be unreal. So, like, would you, if you were going with a running back here, would you take Bijan over JT?
I think it's tough. I think right now it's just kind of that rookie fever. I think I may. We'll see what happens if we get, as we get closer to the beginning of the year, and if, reports come out that the Indianapolis offense is looking better, JT's looking spry. Like, we've seen it, he's proven. So I could see that shifting more toward Taylor. But yeah, right now I think I'd lean Bijan, but I think it's still pretty close. Maybe even toss up.
Yeah, fair. I think what I'm going to do, we're seeing the top of the draft be more wide receiver heavy this year. We're in a 10-team league, so I'm thinking quality running backs can be pushed down even further than usual. So I'm going to strike at my wide receiver now. I'm going to draft Cooper Kupp. I don't think he's someone I'm going to be drafting a lot this year. I don't know. He's definitely going to be healthy. He's ready to come back at the end of last year, but the Rams are out, so it didn't really matter. It really comes down to Stafford and whether he's 100% and whether he could stay 100% all year or not. So it's kind of worrisome. But when Kupp played last year and Stafford played last year, they were electric. So I'm not too worried as long as they're both happy. So we're just gonna go ahead and lock him in. Oh man. Okay. Wow. I know. Yeah. We'll talk about that soon. So Bijan went right after me. Sleeper seems to agree on the Bijan front. Then Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Saquon Barkley at the 110. Starting the second rounds, we had Diggs, Mahomes, and then Jonathan Taylor at the 203. I think both our reaction was like, wow, JT's going to get back to me.
No way, right? And it answered your question. I mean, who's ADP going right now? It's Bijan by a good bit.
Yeah, that's wild. And then CeeDee Lamb goes off there at the 204. So I'm staring down the likes of A.J. Brown, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs, Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, Waddle. So plenty of good wide receiver options. If I want to go wide receiver heavy early on, would probably be looking at A.J. Brown here. He seems like the obvious pick. I do like Garrett Wilson a lot this year, but A.J. Brown, just the known commodity. The more known offense doesn't need to establish chemistry with a new quarterback. It seems like the more obvious pick. It is weird sitting here in the second round with Derrick Henry being available. That feels like it could be an absolute steal, but also feels like, maybe he's down here for a reason and the end could be near. In which case,
it's also a 10-team league too.
Yeah,
right?
He's pushed down a little bit.
Really, the very beginning of the second round in reality.
Yeah, it's just odd where, Derrick Henry, perennial top 5 guy for years, and now he's pushing back to the first, early second. So he seems like an easy grab. I think I'll do it. Derrick Henry's another one. I don't know if I'll be drafting that much this year because he does, it does scare me. It's not good to be holding the bag on a running back and he's your RB1 and you've burned a first or second round pick on him, because that's a season killer right there. That's a big problem. But we're mocking, so I'm gonna keep an even team here. Go one of each. Lock in Mr. Derrick Henry if he is Derrick Henry of old. I am looking quite pretty there. AJ Brown goes, Nick Chubb, Garrett Wilson, and Amon-Ra. You are up with your 2 picks.
Yeah, so a couple of receivers that would have been nice if I wanted to double up on receiver there. But I am liking the running backs available here. We've got Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, and Brees Hall. All three are great options here for me. Najee, Stevenson still here as well. So happy with the running backs, especially given the receivers. I mean, Waddle, T. Higgins, Chris Olave, all really good options as well. Um, but you had a couple of those big time guys go off just a few picks ahead, and it is a start two receiver, start two running back, two flex. So I think here I'm going to go with first kind of a tried and true in Josh Jacobs. I think he is going to be almost the whole offense. It'll be him and Devontae Adams. After Jacobs, though, it's pretty close between Tony Pollard and Brees Hall. I think Pollard's probably the safer pick, but Brees is more kind of your league winner pick. And this is probably a spot where you start looking at the quarterbacks as well beyond Pat Mahomes. I mean, I'm not going to take one here, but Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts both still on top of the board. Imagine they're going to go here somewhere in the third round, but just to call them out. Mark Andrews still here as well, and is also a great option here at the beginning of the third round. But yeah, I'm going to see what happens here if I double up on two running backs here. I think kind of in that upper echelon still. And I'm going to go Brees Hall. So we're going to lock in Brees here with Josh Jacobs. After him, Josh Allen goes, Najee Harris, T. Higgins, and Jalen Hurts. So both those quarterbacks go right after him.
I was going to pull the trigger too. I
Yeah.
was going to do it, and just not to be.
Still another option you could pull the trigger on if you wanted to pivot to a non-RB running and wide receiver.
Yes. So we have Mark Andrews here. So big time tight end would be the second tight end going off the board. So that would be a big deal. From a quarterback standpoint, you do still have Lamar here. If you believe he's going to be the unleash this year, or Fields, if you think he's going to, make that huge leap that we saw flashes of last year, and Herbert, if we think he's going to bounce back, if any of those stories come true, that'd be a fine pick here. To just run through the other positions, we do got Waddle, Olave, Devonta Smith, DK Metcalf sitting there at the wide receiver position. At running back, we got Pollard, Stevenson, Etienne, Walker, Gibbs. So some pretty good options on that front too. I would really like to add like a Pollard or a Stevenson, but Andrews is very tempting. So I think given it's a 10-team league, and that tight end position really can give you a real big positional advantage, I think I am going to pull the trigger on Andrews. I don't think there's a world where he gets back to me. Yeah, there's not a world where any of them get back to me. So we're just going to lock in Mark Andrews, get that tight end here. My main concern as it goes to the board here is I wouldn't mind taking a quarterback here, but that's scary. Yeah, and it's going to put me in that spot too. So I went with Mark Andrews, 306. Then we had Waddle, Pollard, Stevenson, Etienne to round out the third. To start the fourth, Olave, Devonta Smith, Kenneth Walker, and Joe Burrow. So, I could grab a Lamar Jackson, a Justin Fields, or a Justin Herbert here. But I like all three. I'm in a similar position to you in your dynasty draft, Will, where I like three quarterbacks, but there's three people after me that need them, and I could be the one getting burned. You did not roll the dice. You went ahead and picked Mr. Herbert. I think I will roll the dice. Easier for me to roll the dice when it's, just a mock and not, a real thing here. But I'll take a look at my positions here. We got Gibbs, Aaron Jones, Mixon, Dobbins, Damian Pierce, Miles Sanders. At wide receiver, we have Metcalf, Debo, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Calvin Ridley. I'm happy with all those options. We're going to grab a running back here, and we are going to grab the rookie, Jahmyr Gibbs. And I am going to just hope that he PPRs his way to fantasy gold. We're going to lock him in there as my second wide receiver. Debo goes off the board. Lamar Jackson goes. So that's one strike against me. Calvin Ridley, goes. And Aaron Jones, you're back up.
All right. So back here to me. Some of the top guys here: tight end, Hawkinson, Kittle, Pitts, Goddard. Still quite a few. I don't think any of them are worth that much more than the others with Andrews and Kelsey off the board. At quarterback, Fields, Herbert, Lawrence all kind of stand out as options that I wouldn't mind. And with 1, 2, 3, 4 guys, still to pick, I think it is interesting and could be a pivot option here for me. But if I go back, take a look here, running backs, Mixon, Dobbins, Pierce, Miles Sanders, nothing really standing out too much. The receiver position looks a lot better here to me. DK, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper all stand out. DeAndre Hopkins, too. I do like DeAndre. Interested to see where he goes, and I think that really will affect his ADP. Right here, that could look like a steal if he's in Kansas City. But if he goes to a team and it's a little bit more crowded, probably drops down in ADP. So my first pick, I'm going to lock in DK Metcalf. I think it's just safe, high volume pick. He is going to be the one there. I think if anything, Smith and Jigba is going to eat into Lockett a little bit. But I think you and I both really just expect him to really get, maybe get off to a little bit slower start to his career just because of the passing volume there. So first one off the board here, I'm going to take DK Metcalf. After that, a debate between going with another receiver and a Keenan Allen, raising the floor of my receiving core. Amari Cooper, probably more of a ceiling play. He had a really good year last year, and I think that was split between a few different players. So he, I think, would be the pick of the two. For me, it's debating between those two or going with a quarterback. There is still those three that I like, and then really beyond that, Prescott, Watson, Tua. I don't mind rolling with one of those. So I'm going to punt again as well, and I'm going to go with Amari Cooper. Take a second receiver here, or third receiver, second in this run. Keenan Allen goes next. DeAndre Hopkins, T.J. Hawkinson, and then George Kittle to you. So gamble worked out. You've got quarterbacks available if you want to go with one.
We do. Now it's a matter of whether I want to roll the dice again. So we have Fields and we have Herbert, both who I like. The game after me is just not easy because there are two teams after me that don't have quarterbacks. So I could get burned, or I could just lock in my guy. Let's take a look at what else is out there. Maybe that'll help us make a decision. We got Joe Mixon, Dobbins, Dameon Pierce, Miles Sanders, Alexander Mattison, Dalvin Cook. At wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore, Drake London, Christian Watson, Chris Godwin, Jerry Jeudy. I'm not in love with the wide receivers as my wide receiver 2, which makes me kind of concerned about drafting a quarterback because it's only going to get worse from here. But because I'm not in love with anyone there, and I'd really like that, like a Miles Sanders or Alexander Mattison here. But maybe they'll get back to me. I'll go 3 running backs. We'll see. I am going to draft my quarterback. I think the one I want right now is Fields for that nuclear sky-high upside. That Herbert doesn't
really going against the brand here, going tight end and quarterback in the top 5.
I know. It is. It's worrisome, and we're definitely going to get to the end of this draft, and I'm not going to like the team.
You're going to hate it. Yep.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, but that's why you mock. That's why you test it out here.
Yeah, and just because you hate it, me and you always leave our drafts when we go tight end early, not liking our team. Like we always feel like we're missing. And like I just said right now, like my wide receiver 2 might be Jerry Jeudy, Chris Godwin, Michael Pittman, and that doesn't make me feel very good. But then you got to look and be like, oh yeah, I got Mark Andrews. He's my 2 really. So I'm gonna do it though. I'm gonna lock in Fields, and we're gonna see how the rest of it plays out. Dobbins and Mixon go right after. Terry McLaurin and Dameon Pierce round out the 5th. We have DJ Moore, so no stack for me. James Conner, Drake London, and Chris Godwin go off the board. So this is concerning for me because Miles Sanders and Alexander Mattison are here, and that is really tempting. For a running back 3, you'd slot into a flex spot for me. At the wide receiver position, we have Christian Watson, who, because of love, I'm not super interested in. Like, he's not bad. I'm just kind of worried about it. Jerry Jeudy, you got the whole Denver situation because that's kind of scary. Michael Pittman, you got the whole, in the offense, Anthony Richardson situation, so that's kind of worrisome. And then you get to Marquise Hollywood Brown, and he's got his own issues because you don't know when Kyler's going to play. So I guess he has his own problem. I was going to say he's really, he was good for fantasy last year until he got hurt, and Hopkins is gone now. So there's a good story to tell about him. But when is Kyler going to play? I don't know. And then you got Mike Williams. He's always up and down. Brandon Ayuk's solid. Yeah, I'm going to go crazy. I'm drafting another running back. I'm going Miles Sanders here. I think me and you both like him this year in Carolina. I imagine he's going to get a lot of work there. And, I don't know how many years they're going to be using him left, but I think for this year, he'll be pretty solid. So I'm going to lock him in and get a third running back here. We'll see what this team looks like. As you said, this is why you mock. We'll see what it ends up looking like. Christian Watson, Jerry Jeudy, Justin Herbert, and Alexander Mattison go off the board. You are up.
Yeah. Mixed bag of emotions. Happy to see that one of the quarterbacks kind of in the tier that I prefer, adding on to the Herbert and Fields that you mentioned in Trevor Lawrence still here. So he's going to be one of the picks. But a little disappointed two of the running backs I was hoping for both went there with Miles Sanders and Alexander Mattison. I know you'd be happy about that. Still some good options: Cam Akers, Javonte Williams, Alvin Kamara. But I think, unfortunately, not kind of the floor plays. I think the volume that you're going to get there. For me, I think I would have to go here with kind of the upside of a Javonte Williams here early in the draft. Still going for kind of guys that have higher ceilings, and that's why I'm going to go here with Javonte Williams, evened out. Have 3 receivers, 3 running backs, and pair that with a Mr. Trevor Lawrence. Pretty easy, pretty even, keel for me. I'm going to be, waiting on the tight end position. There's still tons of them left. And I've got my quarterback off the board here with kind of one of those top tier quarterbacks still. So pretty happy with that. Trevor Lawrence and Javonte Williams here at the turn. After that, Dalvin Cook, Marquise Brown, DeAndre Swift, and Cam Akers. So some more running backs going.
Okay, so that favors me a fair bit. That I still don't love the wide receivers, and that is my issue. Like Mike Williams is kind of tempting here. Like just we've been down that road so many times. It just, we know what he is. That breakout that everyone always wants. It just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Brandon Ayuk's here. That's kind of interesting. Mike Evans, seems like such a value here, but man, that offense is going to suck. I'm just so worried about the quarterbacks there. And then you look at Tyler Lockett's here. He's a safe 2. You don't have to have upside. Just get a safe guy like Lockett, or Deontay Johnson's here. That's, he's typically a pretty safe guy. It's hard drafting a wide receiver 2 that doesn't have that upside to him. But that's just kind of what this tier is, unless you still see the upside of Mike Williams. Outside of Mike Evans having a lot of touchdowns, there's not a lot of upside with any of them. So I think I am going to play it safe. Now I'm going to draft Brandon Ayuk. I was going to say I'm going to play it safe and draft Tyler Lockett, but I keep getting flashbacks of me drafting Doug Baldwin in his last year.
Yeah.
Two completely different situations. But everyone could be looking at Lockett as a very safe guy, but then come the second half of the year, he's just not that safe because JSN's emerged to some degree, or something happens. So I'm going to go ahead and draft Ayuk. A better offense. I don't really trust him more. But I'm not as worried about his role being taken away from him. We had Goddard go off the board, Kamara 708, Kyle Pitts, Rashad White, Michael Pittman, Pacheco 802, Mike Williams finally goes there 803, Tyler Lockett almost made it back to me. That would have been nice at the 804. So I am back on the clock. No reason to look at tight end or quarterback, which is nice. I'm not going to look at running back because I have Derrick Henry, Jamar Gibbs, and Miles Sanders. We'll just grab another wide receiver here. And I think I might grab somebody that I've been overlooking. And it might be Christian Kirk. I feel like...
Nice. Prevent my stack here, I see.
Yes. That's really why I'm doing it. I feel like he's going to... With the Calvin Ridley hype, he's just been kind of lost, but he was solid last year. Um, so he just, I don't know. There's something about Jacksonville that still scares me, but he's going to get plenty of volume. The whole team's going to be, in the offense for the second year. Calvin Ridley does not scare me that much. If he comes back and he's the Calvin Ridley of old and he's great, that's probably going to take some volume away from Kirk, but it's going to open up some opportunities elsewhere. If Calvin Ridley's slow to get going, which I'd imagine he will be, because anyone that misses a year and a half of time is always slow getting back. That's only going to benefit Kirk getting more volume. So I'm going to take the volume play there, lock in Mr. Christian Kirk. Antonio Gibson goes right after me. Deontay Johnson, David Montgomery, and Darren Waller.
All right. So back here to me, a few guys I was looking at: David Montgomery, Antonio Gibson, some good running backs off the board. Waller goes, taking that temptation away. I know we have been kind of lukewarm on him most of the year. I think I've been a little bit more interested, but it's still a little risky, I think, there. So nice to have that temptation gone. And there's only 2 other teams that need tight end, so can really look to kind of punt that away, with a couple of younger guys that are available. So looking just at the running back and the receiver position, once again, we've got Mike Evans still here. We've got George Pickens, JSN, Treylon Burks, Jordan Addison, Dotson. A couple of guys that it kind of thinks, with JSN and with Addison, just because I have the number ones on their team, so can't really take a shot on them. So looking at a guy in either maybe an older guy like a Mike Evans, just getting some safety there for my 4th receiver, or going with a younger guy in like a Treylon Burks or a Jahan Dotson, would be really what I'm thinking here with the receiver position. When I look at it, another guy that is interesting that I don't know if he'll get back to me, especially with you having 2 picks. Quentin Johnston is another good young receiver that I think it would be a good option for this team, with having some pretty solid guys on the team. Can have a breakout. But I think getting one of those second-year receivers makes more sense. It's going to get more volume. If I look over at the running back position, got James Cook, A.J. Dillon, Brian Robinson, Jamal Williams. Not a ton of guys that I love. Some decent guys below that, but I think here doubling up on receiver would I feel better about. I'd have 5 receivers, to have some depth there. I already got 3 running backs that I feel pretty good about, so I'll be able to get some more depth there. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go Mike Evans, get a more solid guy that I know the volume is going to be there. It's just how much quality is it going to be with the quarterback downgrade. Who knows if it's really downgrade? With Brady, toward the end of his career, but you and I can hope amongst hope for our boy Baker Mayfield, but things don't look good here so far in training camp with the videos. So beyond that, I'm looking at Burks and Dotson. And I'm going to go with the guy that I think is going to get more volume there in Treylon Burks. So I'm going to lock him in as my 5th receiver. After Burks, George Pickens, Jordan Addison, James Cook, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, a.k.a. JSN.
Nice. I will gladly take Dotson. But I think he's a nice blend of upside, and I don't know if I want to call him safe. He felt safe last year. He got a lot of touchdowns and stuff. So from that degree, he feels safe. But, touchdowns are very finicky. So maybe not as safe as I'm seeing him. But I'm looking at Ayuk and Kirk, who I think have capped upside. I think Dotson has, some real solid upside. So finally being in a position to add some upside in his team and take a shot on somebody makes me happy. So we're going to lock in Mr. Dotson here. We'll see what gets back. A.J. Dillon, Pat Fryermuth, Kadarius Toney, Dak Prescott, the 9-10. There goes Quentin Johnson, 10-01, Brian Robinson, Deshaun Watson, and Brandon Cooks. I am back on the clock here. I will take a peek at the wide receiver position or the running back position just to see what's out there. So we have Jamal Williams, we got Rashad Penny, Charbonnet, Khalil Herbert, Samaje Perine, A-Chain, Damian Harris. At the wide receiver position, we got Juju, Michael Thomas, Gabe Davis, Cortland Sutton, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Jameson Williams, Odell Beckham. So no one really jumping out at me. as I've done in our past mocks, like A Chain is kind of reaching out because I feel solid at the running back position and I can take a shot on a young guy that might break out, but it feels early-ish. I feel like he's not going to get back to me, but I'll roll the dice. I'm going to take Rashad Bateman here. Grab a wide receiver that I think is a blend of some upside and some safety. He's the only wide receiver, relevant wide receiver on the team that's got chemistry with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson talks him up plenty. So I think from that regard, he's going to be pretty safe. And, his upside's high if they start throwing the ball and that chemistry's there and, Odell's not that good. And, if Zay Flowers takes a little while to start breaking out, that could be good things for Bateman. So I am locking in Mr. Bateman here. He is a happy addition to this team. He's rounding me out a little bit here. I think Gabe Davis, Jabal Williams, Damian Harris, and Michael Thomas go. You're up.
All right, so it's back to me here. A couple of tight ends at the top of the board, which makes sense here for my team with Evan Ingram and David Njoku. I'd lean Ingram there. I think they're both good, and I think it's really a toss-up. Njoku maybe even has more upside just because of the athleticism, but I like the ability to have that stack there of Evan Ingram and Trevor Lawrence. So I'm going to lock in Evan Ingram first here, and then beyond him, I am probably going to look at the running back position. First, take a look here at our receivers. We got Juju Smith-Schuster, Cortland Sutton, Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham. Yeah, there's not too much there. Zay's not a bad kind of take a shot guy, but I definitely want to get some depth at running back here as we're kind of whittling down to the end of the draft. So some of the guys that interest me, Rashad Penny. I think everyone's on Swift, but I think it's going to be more of an even split, and you're going to have weeks where one of them breaks out. You also have guys that have been a little injury prone, so you get the one that remains healthy. We also have Mr. Khalil Herbert, Devon A-Chain that you mentioned, a couple other guys lower down, but I'll take a shot on Rashad Penny here as my fourth running back, see if I can get a breakout there. So after him, Juju Smith-Schuster, David Njoku. So happy I went with my tight end as we see someone going with their second tight end. Tua Tagovailoa and Kirk Cousins. So quarterback starting to go here as well.
Beautiful. So you did allow Mr. A-Chain to fall to me. I like Khalil Herbert. I like Samaje Perine as well to get off to like an interesting start while Jamal Williams is out, or Javonte. There we
Williams,
go. We got there. But as I said before, I can, given my my running backs, I feel like I could take an upside shot on a guy. So I'm going to lock in Mr. A-Chain here. We'll see if it gets back to me. Cortland Sutton, Aaron Rodgers, Khalil Herbert, Odell Beckham rounds out the 11th round. Charbonnet goes, Schultz, Zay Flowers, and Anthony Richardson. So we are back on the clock. Samaje Perine's still here. McKinnon, Elijah Mitchell, Tyler Algier, Devin Singletary, Kendre Miller, Deonta Foreman. At the wide receiver position, we have Jameson Williams, Alan Lazard, Elijah Moore, Jacoby Myers, Adam Thielen, Darnell Mooney, Tyler Boyd. So this is a tougher spot. Definitely getting to the area where I don't love everyone here. I like Samaje Perine. I've been drafting him a lot for his hot start. But I just feel like that's such a luxury, and I should be taking more dart throws at the wide receiver position since I waited. I'm seeing a nice safe guy. Well, it was someone you would assume to be safe in Adam Thielen. I'm seeing some upside in Elijah Moore. I don't think I'm going to be drafting a lot of Elijah Moore this year, but I'm going to be drafting him here. I don't know why I'm not grabbing him. He's late, 12th round. Who really cares if you miss or not? New situation, quarterback upgrade, clear 2 for his team. We've seen great stuff from him before. So I don't know why I'm kind of off of him in redraft, because I'm definitely on in our dynasty league. I don't know, just maybe more risk adverse on him. Maybe it's harder when you're staring down like an Adam Thielen that's sitting here that's usually so safe, or an Alan Lazard that's got built-in chemistry with Rodgers. I don't know. But I'm going to lock him in here. Grab Mr. Elijah Moore for this team. Chig goes next at 12:06. Samaje Perine finally at 12:07. We have Jamison Williams. There are too many Jay Williams in this league,
There's
man.
a lot of Jay Williams.
Yeah, and this one was in Detroit. So I was like, wait, Jamal Williams isn't in Detroit anymore?
Did he go back?
Oh, my God. So Singletary went at the 12:09. You're back on the clock.
Yeah, two guys I was hoping, Mr. P. Ryan and Singletary, to get back to me. Alas, they did not. I'm looking to probably round this team out with just some running back shots. And unfortunately, two of the guys I was hoping for did just go. So looking at the running backs here, Jerick McKinnon is probably going to be one of my picks. I think he is a really good value pick, as it could be one of three guys there with him and Clyde and Pacheco. But they clearly love McKinnon and want to keep him involved. They brought him back, so I think he's going to have a role there early on. I think you're going to be able to see it. So I'm going to lock in McKinnon with one of my picks. Other options here: Elijah Mitchell, Tyler Algier, I think are good options to take at this point, just to see what you have. You're never hoping for an injury, but those are the guys that I think you would be confident would have most of the workload if there is an injury ahead of them. So Elijah Mitchell is going to be my other pick here. He's a guy that, beyond week one, if there is no injuries, he was a guy that I wouldn't mind moving on from. But he is a good handcuff to have. And if you have the ability to hang on to him, he is one of those guys that will take over the bulk of the workload. So going to draft Mr. Elijah Mitchell here next. After him, Cole Kmet, Daniel Jones, Alan Lazard, and Tyler Algier.
I will. It is nice going tight end and quarterback early and not having to look at those positions at all the rest of the draft.
You see everybody else, doubling, tripling down.
Yeah, everyone else playing the game of, can I wait? Can I do it? But I don't know how to do any of that. It's pretty nice.
Love seeing them go while you're waiting on the clock.
Yeah, for real. So wide receiver or running back options we're looking at. We have Kendre Miller here, who's interesting. Deontay Foreman, Mostert, Roshan Johnson, Tank Bigsby, Jeff Wilson. Probably wouldn't take my shot on Mostert or Jeff Wilson because I already have a chain. But Kendre Miller is interesting, as is Roshan Johnson. Wide receivers, we got Jacoby Myers, Adam Thielen, Darnell Mooney, Tyler Boyd, Rondell Moore, Mingo, Rashid Rice, Sky Moore. So we're in that kind of tier. I do think I got, 2 picks left. I'll take a running back here and just see, what we have. I think I'll go with rookie Roshan Johnson. And he's a guy where you could see the first couple weeks, what that split's going to be and move on or strike gold. So we'll lock him in there as my final running back. Dalton Kincaid goes, Jacoby Myers, Darnell Mooney, Dulcich, Higbee, Geno Smith, Tyler Boyd, Kendre Miller. Wow, he almost got back. I'm back on the clock. I am going to take an upside shot on Rondell Moore. I'm not a big Rondell Moore believer, but Hopkins was moved. He's officially the 2 on his team. Maybe Kyler comes back soon and he breaks out of something. I'm going to just lock him in as a dart throw there at the end. Foreman goes after me. Mingo, Zeke, Adam Thielen, and you're up with your final pick.
Yeah, final pick. Still quite a few options at running back available. None, are incredible, but a guy that I think could lead the backfield, and he's still going so late because of the rookie taken ahead of him, is Mr. Raheem Mostert. Miami, it seems like they're going to have at least a package together for A-Chain, but I don't know that they want him to carry the bulk of the load. I'm sure Jeff Wilson will still be involved, but this late in the game, Raheem Mostert, I think, makes sense here to round out my running backs here and be pretty deep at the position and, have some flexibility to see who pops off.
Beautiful. So that's going to wrap up the mock. Will, with the 101, you want to run down your team?
Sure. So quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. Running back, Josh Jacobs, Breece Hall, Javonte Williams, Rashad Penny, Jerick McKinnon, Elijah Mitchell, and Raheem Mostert. And then receivers, Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, Treylon Burks, and then tight end, Evan Ingram.
Okay, and I'm sitting here with the 106 with quarterback Justin Fields. Running backs, Derrick Henry, Jameer Gibbs, Miles Sanders, A-Chain, and Roshan Johnson. At wide receiver, we got Cooper Kupp, Ayuk, Christian Kirk, Dotson, Bateman, Elijah Moore, and Rondell Moore. And then at tight end, Mark Andrews. Will, what do you think of your team?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say this is probably one of the teams that I don't love, as much as most of the teams we end up coming through here and loving. We did I did, what we usually do, waiting on one of the positions for a middle round pick and one for a later round pick with tight end um, and and quarterback, but just feel like I would like it a little bit more. And I think I took some gambles. I think a lot of that maybe comes from getting Christian McCaffrey or passing on Christian McCaffrey. So you take him first. You're loaded at running back. Probably maybe could have doubled down on receiver. Or gone receiver and running back, and maybe freed up some other picks. So it's not bad for starting with Justin Jefferson, but I just feel like having Justin Jefferson, I would have liked my team a little bit more.
Yeah, that's fair. Looking at my team, I really don't feel that bad about it. I mean, this is kind of a classic me risky team. This team could implode. If Stafford isn't that good anymore, gets hurt quickly again, Kupp could be sunk. Derrick Henry could be done. Jamar Gibbs could be skipping time or sharing time the entire year. And all these other wide receivers that I collected at the end could just not really work out that well. So there's the potential for disaster with this team, but I actually like it. I think Fields has a lot of upside to him. Obviously, Mark Andrews, elite tight end, so we're covered there. Running back, I'm happy, man. Derrick Henry, Gibbs, Sanders, taking a shot on the two rookies at Achane and Roshan. That seems like a solid running back grouping to me. There's always risk. Sanders is kind of in that dead zone. He's moving to a second team. That's usually not a great thing. But a lot of people believing in him this year. And, for punting, for going Cooper Kupp and then punting wide receiver for so long, I don't think things could have gone any better at the wide receiver position. Ayuk, Kirk, Dotson, Bateman, Elijah Moore. Like, I'm happy with that grouping there. That's a good mix of just solid, proven guys. And upside. So overall, I'm really happy, even though I see the faults with the team and how it could just implode very quickly.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see the way that these teams are lining up here. With a 10-team league, you'd think, I don't know, I feel like we'd like our teams a little bit better than we did. So it's interesting.
Yeah, agreed. It was a fun little exercise. But the exercise comes to an end. That is going to wrap us up for today. So tune in next week for another mock. And until then, folks, trust your board.